Hello. Well, it's ages since I did a YouTube video. I thought I'd better get back on it. Today I want to talk to you about socialisation in terms of dogs. It's a massive topic, is this, so I'm going to try and break it into chunks. For me, let's define it. For me, socialisation is the ability for the dog to enjoy life in society and deal with everything that it might encounter and not be upset by it. And one aspect of this is interactions with other dogs, but that's not the only aspect of it. There's actually quite a lot of different aspects in terms of getting used to noises, getting used to people, men with hats, men with beards, going to the vets and coping. That it's massive. Going on transport, all of those things. Let's just focus a little bit on the dog side of things, because most of the time when I hear people talking about socialisation, they're talking about how the dog is allowed to interact with other dogs, and a lot of places offer sort of social sessions, socialisation sessions. Now, depending on how they're run, that's important to point out, they might benefit your pup or they might not. So for me, it's not great just to leave it to be a free-for-all. All the pups rolling around with each other, interacting with each other, not much guidance, maybe a larger number of pups. And the reason I find that a bit of a problem is you get different personality types in dogs. So you get more confident puppies, you get larger breed puppies, smaller puppies, and you get less confident puppies or sensitive souls. And if it's not orchestrated in the correct way, then what can happen is the more sensitive pups can be sensitised to other dogs, and that can then lead to issues when they're older, because of course everything they experience in their first socialisation window, like 8 to 14 weeks, needs to be as positive as it can be. And that doesn't always mean actually physically interacting with another dog. The confident pups might be having a whale of a time, having a lovely time, but actually what they might be learning is that when they see other dogs, they can always go up to them. And that can sometimes cause problems later on as well, through lead frustration and things like that. Over-socialisation for me is a problem. That's where you get the owner shouting at you while you're going, oh no, there's a dog running up to me. The owner's shouting, it's all right, they're friendly. Well, your dog might be, but my dog might be old and arthritic. Or maybe my dog's a sensitive type that's had a difficult situation. So for me, you've got to balance the interaction and the come away. So when I teach socialisation, I want to teach the handlers how to read whether or not the pup wants to say hello, because that's massive, isn't it? And if the pup looks like it doesn't, and I'm going to insert a clip here, it might show body language where it's backing away or something, then the best thing to do in that instant is for the more confident pup to be taken away and them to have a chat. So maybe the dogs don't get to say hello, but what the other dog's learning is that other dogs aren't going to bounce them all the time, so its confidence is building. And what the confident pup is learning is that they don't always get to jump on other dogs, because that's life, right? Not all dogs like that. The other thing I like to think about is it's not just about the saying hello. For me, the coming away is really important. Think about later on when your dog hits adolescence. Imagine you've let them do lots of say hello, rough and tumble, say hello, rough and tumble, every dog they meet. Or if they pass and they stop, and every dog they get to say hello to. When you take your lead off later on, and your dogs hit adolescence and they're now confident anyway, and they see another dog, what are they instantly going to think they can do? Bolt. And that could be problematic for the other dog, certainly. It's certainly going to be problematic for your recall. So for me, teaching the come away as part of the socialisation programme is just as important as the say hello. And you know, sometimes you don't get to say hello. We learn to walk past things, because that's how the real world operates, isn't it? What I will say is, you've got to think about other things. It's not just about dogs. If you live somewhere where there's lots of horses, you might take some time to socialise your dog to horses. And I don't mean get your dog to interact with horses. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is teach your dog not to be fearful of horses. So that might be just sit and watch. You're sitting, you're with your dog, a horse passes at a distance, you pay your dog. The dog learns to be calm around the horse, and it also learns to focus on you when other horses are present. And also it's learning that when horses are present, good stuff happens. So you're sort of desensitizing your dog to that other animal. What I don't like to do is teach lots of interactions with other animals. Take sheep, for example. For pet dogs, when I'm working with pet dogs, I want them to learn not to get involved with the sheep. I don't want them to go up and go nose to nose for a number of different reasons. One being sheep might have a disease like ORF or something like that, and that can transfer to your dog. But the other being, I don't want the dog to interact with sheep. I want my pet dog to learn that sheep exist, but I don't need to get involved. That's the safest thing you can teach a pet dog, actually. And just on that note, doesn't matter how much work you do, you do realise that it is a legal requirement to have your dog on a lead around stock. That's the law. That's just the way it is. So thinking about other animals, thinking about how your dog learns to cope with other animals is really important. So it's not just about, can my dog play with other dogs? It's teaching your dogs manners around play and also the come away, but it's also thinking about the world as a whole and how your dog is able to cope with all the things it might face within the world. And that's different. If you live in a city, that's going to be buses and cars and horns. If you live in the countryside, they might be seeing more horses or cattle or goodness knows what. But it is also worth noting that every situation is different. Every person you meet with their dog has a different story, and the dog is at a different place. Some dogs might be elderly, arthritic, you might have a bitching season, you might have a dog who got attacked and it's now fearful of other dogs. You might have a dog who's had a brilliant life and is just like uber confident, but you need to be mindful of each other within that. So it isn't just a case of shouting over it, don't worry, my dog's friendly. The person that has got their dog on lead over there while your dog careers towards it, they're already worried because they've probably got their own stuff going on. And that's where your recall comes in, but I can help you with that separately. So on my puppy socialisation courses, what you can't see is loads of puppies. You can't see a rolling programme either. I like to train them for a short course of 3 weeks. I teach canine body language. I teach polite greetings. I teach the dogs to settle around other pups, and I teach come away and things like that. So that's a little bit about my views on socialisation. I'm sure you've all got your own views on that, but that's how I choose to deliver my work. I hope you found that helpful. Bye.